Welcome to Deep Dive. I'm your host, Kevin Benedict, and I want to thank everyone out there for joining us today. I'm so excited to be able to introduce you to a friend of mine, Gail Moody-Byrd, who's the CMO of Noodle.ai. Gail, thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here and to talk to you again.
Awesome. So where are you located at, Gail?
Noodle.ai is in the heart of San Francisco, just a block from Market Street. We are in a brand new location, but we've got a great suite of offices full of data scientists, data engineers, and lots of interesting people.
That's fascinating. I love your backdrop today. You were saying before we started recording that that's also probably has some mathematical relevance.
It does. And our office is actually designed based on the philosophy of eudaimonia, which is based on a philosophy dating back to Aristotle about having different kinds of spaces to work in, deep thought chambers, salon space. And so everything here is very intentional.
Well, that is fascinating. Here, I just stack books. I have no different story than just bookshelves. So Gail, tell us, for those that haven't had the good fortune to meet you like I have, why don't you give us some of your background? Tell us about yourself.
Yes. So I have been CMO of Noodle.ai for about 5 months now. Prior to that, I was with SAP, and I was there for 10 years and was always part of the digital world there in marketing, working on the website, social media, back to the SAP community network, and just had a great experience there. Prior to that, I was in the birth of another part of technology, which was mobile computing, and I worked for Palm. And that was my first real experience in the digital world in Silicon Valley, and done a few other things in terms of consulting, retail interests, and banking background, other things, but right now solidly in technology marketing.
All right. Well, we've known each other a long time, back to the SAP Community Network days.
Yes.
So yes, I've been able to track your career, so that's extraordinary. So what attracted you to leave a big, giant behemoth of SAP and join a startup there in Silicon Valley?
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting question. This opportunity actually came to me through a person that I'd met through a friend, but stayed in touch with through networking. I think it's so important to use social media correctly, and I'm very careful about that, but the connections that you can build on your social networks and maintain across the miles is so important. So this opportunity came to me. But when I thought about it, I have been on the cusp of new technologies like mobile and social and cloud. And I think AI is another one of those opportunities that's really going to transform the way people and businesses use technology to create business value. And the story here for artificial intelligence is so compelling. And it's so connected to the kinds of stories that we told at SAP about selling software and creating business value. So the transfer of knowledge from SAP and what I learned about dealing with certain personas and business types and selling content to selling information to them via marketing was an easy transition. So it just feels like the next logical step in my career.
So it might have been an easy transition for you, Gail, but I bet it's a lot different environment from SAP to a startup. Talk to us about that experience.
Yes. Well, first of all, I came into the company, and rather than being part of a 1,500-person marketing organization, there were 3 people on my team. But these are the kind of metrics in a startup. I've doubled the size of the team in 3 months. And so we've hired 4 new people, we're growing the team, we're scaling rapidly, and using some of the thoughts and swim lanes about how you run a marketing organization at a place like SAP, but scaling it way down.
Mm-hmm.
So number one, the kinds of resources that I have access to are quite different, but we get just as much done, if not more. I think that sort of looking at the skill sets of the people on the team, understanding how to get the best from them, understanding where the gaps are, and easily being able to fill those gaps, because I have the support of the executive board here to go and fill the jobs and the roles as I see fit, has been tremendous. So that is one big difference, not having resources, but figuring out that you can be really quite scrappy and get these things done yourself.
Ah, brilliant. So let me ask you this question. Do you have more meetings or less meetings in your new company?
Well, because in this role, I am the Chief Marketing Officer, there are more meetings. It's important to be an ambassador for the business, to always continue to think about uplifting the organization. I'll give you an example. In my prior roles, given that we are on the hook for creating leads that we passed on to the sales team, that's the way I'd be thinking every day. But this morning is the first real business day for International Women's Month and Women's History Month. And so as a spokesperson for the organization, my first post on Monday morning was about welcome to Women's History Month. How are we going to represent ourselves as an organization? So thinking about that, and as we'll talk a little later, our mission as a company and our intention is quite big and quite ambitious. And so I have to keep myself on the cutting edge of the thinking of the organization. And that means a lot more meetings and being a lot more curious about what's going on outside our walls.
Thank you for sharing the kind of the inside with us. So when you joined Noodle.ai, there must have been almost a blank slate. So where do you start? How do you look at a blank slate and say, okay, here's item number 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Interesting. So the prior CMO for our organization had come in primarily as a branding expert. So we'd gone through Series A, Series B, we had a story, a branding persona, so to speak. But the next stage of the game, the reason I was brought in was to develop a marketing engine and to be able to take all of the interest that we're generating in the market, but turn it into tangible business opportunities for the business development and the sales team. So it was quite clear to me coming in that we needed marketing automation, we needed to think about demand generation, we needed a strong PR, AR arm of the organization, and we needed to upgrade our website. You know, the website was the last thing that I did at SAP. I know that can be a really important vehicle. So there were just obvious things based on the body of work that I'd done, not only at SAP, but at Palm, to say, here are all the elements of a well-functioning, full marketing stack. And we just started I started very strategically thinking about that with the team that was here. And we've been able to put that in place in 4 months.
Wow. So how is it messaging a concept like AI? Because AI is not a box, AI is not a specific technology per se. It's whatever you make it to be. So how do you message that?
Yes. Well, one of the things that attracted me to Noodle.ai is that we have a very specific intention. We've got revenue, we've got an application suite, so it's a very tangible concept. It's not just an idea.
Okay.
So our intention as a company is to create a world without waste. And in order to do that, what's needed is to work with the source of 93% of the waste on the planet. 93% of the waste on the planet is created in industrial situations. So not civic or governmental, like the trash that's picked up every day, but it's large businesses like steel mills and factories that are generating tons and tons of waste every day. So we're focused on manufacturers and supply chain operators in industrial and consumer products. And what we do with them is take on very specific kinds of challenges. We have two sets of applications. One is our manufacturing intelligence suite, and the other is the supply chain intelligence suite. And we go in, consult with them, look very carefully at the business process they currently have, where we think we can add value, and then send a team of data scientists, data engineers, and software engineers in to look at the data, clean the data, prepare it for an algorithmic exercise where we determine which kind of data science, be it machine learning, which element of machine learning should be applied to their situation to create real business value. So when you think about it, it's very much like the ERP systems that people run using SAP, but what we're adding is a system of intelligence that takes the decision-making from fixed rules to something that is more probabilistic. So instead of a deterministic system that sets up a very fixed set of rules, what we've allowed for is the unknowns. We tend to think about things like supply chains like whack-a-mole. If you're a VP of supply chain in a manufacturing organization, there'll be things like a change in the weather, a change in the economic situation that might cause interest rates to rise or fall, a strike, other kinds of political unrest that might exist in one of your supplying countries. So we take in all the internal data that might sit within someone's data lake, for example, but combine that with what we call external data cartridges to create a rule set that has not 10 or 20 variables, but takes in an incomprehensible number of variables to actually, and really all that artificial is really an advanced form of linear regression. But using these techniques to fit a line that says, these are the things that are likely to happen. Here are some decisions that you should make. And if you choose decision A, B, or C over D, E, or F, here's the economic impact we expect it to have.
Wow. So you were using words in there that I have no idea what they mean, but they were impressive. Was that layered? What was that? You said layered great aggression or?
Oh, linear regression.
Oh, that's it.
Linear regression. So that's a college, if you hearken back to Statistics 101 or maybe 201, it's something that I learned way, way back in college. But what's interesting about working here is that there are people who have built their careers on understanding these things. And so talking about neural networks and Bayesian theory is the kind of chatter that you hear at the coffee center. It's
just gives me chills up my spine.
I know. So it's a really interesting, bright group of people, lots of PhDs, but the culture of the company is that everyone's helpful, human, and humorous. And, so that's a big selling point. Everybody's here to have fun, but also we're very committed to this intention of creating a world without waste.
That's incredible there. So Gail, are companies just ready for you guys automatically, or is there a lot of work they have to do to prepare for AI and algorithms?
Yes. We actually have 9 questions that we ask prospective customers before we take on an assignment with them and sell them software. And it's all around data readiness, around their ability to impact change. Let's say that we make tons of recommendations, but there's a lot of immobility in the organization and they can't really make those changes. And then is there an executive sponsor? Is a really important piece. So understanding that all of those things are in place before we embark on a relationship with a customer is really critical. I was looking at some...
Oh, go ahead.
I was looking at some information over the weekend, and it said that as we embark upon a new customer relationship, 80% of the time is spent reviewing the data, cleansing it, and preparing it to be able to be fed into our algorithmic engine. We actually have a supercomputing nucleus that all of the data goes into to be reviewed and actually trained. So the data is trained within one of our models. We have an enterprise AI application trainer that the data goes into, but 80% of it is just getting ready to do that. The last 20% of the time is spent determining what kinds of algorithmic aptitude should be applied to the problem. So is it Bayesian math? Is it other kinds of mathematical algorithms? That's only 20%. I think the market has it wrong. I think there's a lot of infatuation with the shiny object of talking about lots of different kinds of artificial intelligence, but it really is about going in and consulting on what the business problem is, where the business value can be determined, cleaning the data, and then understanding where we have the highest probability of making an impact.
Oh yeah, I mean, companies that I talk to every day, agility is one of those words they like to bring up, you know, as a goal. They all want to be agile, be able to respond to fast-changing consumer behaviors and expectations and all these things. But it always gets back to what is slowing down the company, and it always gets back to bad data, doesn't it?
Yes, or too much data.
Okay.
I have an example. We have a client that we're working with, which is they're in the consumer packaged goods industry. And they're currently using an SAP system, and they receive 500,000 alerts as a demand planning team every Monday morning about products being out of stock, about issues within their supply chain. Fixed rules-based software gives you that kind of result. What we've gone in and done is built a system of intelligence on top of that that helps them understand which alerts are most important and predict which ones are most likely to generate the most business value if paid attention to. So the Monday morning of a demand planner looks quite different with our product than it did prior to that. And so not only does it make their lives easier, but it also allows the VP of supply chain or others in the organization who are managing this from a 50,000 foot level to understand where the variability is in their system and where they can have a real impact. So it's quite clear what we're doing. We're doing that in the steel industry. We're doing it in transportation and logistics. We've worked for airlines, companies, as we say, we work for companies that make things and move things.
So do you get outside of the AI spot? Do you get into talking to them about if you had sensors here that would give us fresh data that we need to make these decisions? Do you get kind of beyond that into all the sensor world and things as well?
Yes. So we actually have a partnership with Dell. One of our funders in Series B was the Dell Technology Ventures team. So they are part of our board. And the reason that Michael Dell was interested in us is that we're a new use case for their hardware. The use case that works most appropriately to answer your question is, imagine a factory that has IoT sensors all over the factory on all of the machinery. There's petabytes of data that are flowing out of that system, and it's too much for human comprehension. It's too much for any normal analytic system to handle. But what we do is take the data off of the sensors out in the factory or in the trucks on the road, sends all of that information into our application trainer, determines what the most likely outcome would be of various scenarios, and then we can actually even send the information back to the sensors out in the field or at the edge. This is really AI at the edge.
Yes.
Send the information back to the sensors at the edge and causes the machinery to actually be tweaked in the field without needing any human intervention.
So you have a bidirectional data flow so you can see what's going on, then feed instructions back and have that hit the controller and actually adjust things. Fascinating.
Yes, yes. So that's something we're actually working on. We're going to be a big participant in Dell Technology World, which is coming up in April, and showing exactly that use case.
Ah, brilliant. I love it.
And
So,
for Dell, there's plenty of opportunity
yeah,
for additional data storage. And so that's why it's a great partnership.
I see that. I can understand that. So what is the key messaging that your team is getting out there in 2019?
Well, it revolves around a few things, a couple of which I mentioned. The first is that we are in this not only for the creation of business value and finding solvable problems, but we want to work in a space that's ethical and benefits society. So we've got kind of a Venn diagram with three circles, and we sit at the intersection of those three things.
Oh, I love it.
The next thing that we talk about is your life with enterprise AI, and we've actually trademarked enterprise AI, but your life with enterprise AI will be radically efficient. And so radical efficiency is another one of the taglines that we used, but there's reduced firefighting, reduced guesswork, and we're giving you tools that continuously improve. Our systems are not static, but they're learning as they ingest more of your data. And then the third thing is really to tell our customers stories. So we just embarked upon a new relationship with a PR company. We're working with all of our customers to make sure that the stories get told, because I think there are a lot of misconceptions about AI and what the business benefit is. So it's important to do that as well. So we'll be highlighting our customers in a really big way in 2019.
Well, I wish you the very best in that, Gail. That's brilliant. So last question here before I let you go.
Okay.
What advice would you give a brand new marketer who's just getting out of the university with their degree in marketing, and they want to be able to develop the right skills to be a leader, let's say 10 years from now? What should they be really investing in today to be prepared?
Okay. Yeah, I think that the answer is different now than it would have been when I started.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the fundamentals is to understand marketing technology. The whole world of ad tech and martech is what's driving the business. So any early opportunities to work with Google AdWords, to work with Marketo, HubSpot, and other tools to understand how all of these marketing ideas are actually turned into interest and engagement, and eventually to closed business is really important. And so MarTech and AdTech, I say, would be an important part of that. Also, if there's an opportunity to understand purpose-driven marketing, I think that's really important. That's something that the CMO of SAP, Alicia Tillman, has really staked her career on, is doing marketing not for marketing's sake, but also to understand the impact on the planet. And so because you're working, this is a major part of all of our lives, finding that higher purpose behind what you do, maybe through an assignment, an early assignment, or volunteering to take something on in your organization, blogging a bit about it, reading some other material would be the second thing. And the third thing is just try to have fun. There's so much information to consume. There's so many active groups online and offline in all of your cities. Get involved. Learn what other people are doing, because I'll tell you, the things that I'm doing now are a culmination of things that I've been doing over the last 20, 25 years in terms of different kinds of experiences. So everything that you do, every position that you have, you come away with a toolkit. And that toolkit just continues to grow. So think about your career as a place where you're building your portfolio.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. As you were just speaking there, I was thinking back. I started doing these kind of video interviews just with my iPhone in my hand, going to conferences and interviewing people and just uploading them to a rough YouTube channel. And I was doing that, I was thinking 11 years ago, I think, when I started doing those. And now we've got our own Regalix TV video platform and online TV channel and all this fun stuff. Never would have dreamed any of that. So yeah, it all
It
just
all starts somewhere, right?
baby steps, right?
Yes.
That's awesome. So Gail, again, I want to thank you so much for sharing your insight, your wisdom, and your just your experiences with us. So thank you so much.
Okay. It was a pleasure as always, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Absolutely.